On today's Moving the Chains, a fun interview, Jerel. Always cool. We get to see a coach go back home. We've got the head man of the 96 Wildcats, Austin Sargent.
Yeah, Coach Sargent was great to catch up with him. Like you mentioned, going back to alma mater, he's coached mainly in the area as well. So you can just tell like that 96 just blunt runs through his blood, through and through. And just really awesome to see him get this opportunity. Checks the boxes, being a local guy and being a former O-lineman and O-line coach. So he's going to bring the intensity and the toughness to that program. So again, just excited to see what he's able to do. It was great catching up with him today.
Really fun to hear his plans for this proud program. Excited to see them heading in a good trajectory with him at the helm. But once again, Austin Sargent, new head man of the 96 Wildcats, here on Moving the Chains.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Movin The Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.
Welcome into Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside Jerel Hendricks. Got a great interview today. A very special guest, the new head coach of the 96 Wildcats, Austin Sargent. Coach, how you doing today?
Doing great. Still a little surreal to hear that, but it's an awesome feeling. It's great to be back home.
We appreciate your time. We really do. If this is you guys' first time tuning in, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter/X, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains, our website, movinchains.com, and our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Coach Sargent was hired in January. He has been an assistant at Emerald for the past 6 seasons. Prior, he spent time at TL Hanna, Crescent, and 96, and is an alum of 96 High School as well. Coach, let's start there. What's that transition been like going from assistant at Emerald to, getting over to 96 now and kind of taking over that head position?
I would love to tell you it's been seamless, but I one of the things working with Coach DeBose the past 6 years, he would always say, hey, look, when you get in this seat, there's a lot less football you actually get to do, and there's a lot more other stuff. And I would always kind of like, I got, but he was right. He was right. And I really enjoyed the time over there. And he really helped prepare me for this. And there's been a couple times where I've called him and, just been like, hey, dude, dealing with this, dealing with that, like you called it, and, but it's been great. It's been great. It really has.
I just want to talk about your background a little bit. Obviously, you were a standout player there at 96, went on to play some college ball and, got into the coaching profession. If you don't mind kind of detailing, from being a high schooler to this point now.
So I graduated from here in 2009. It was, I had a great time. That was one of the things I have really told our kids, like our softball team's still going right now. And 96 is the epitome of small town USA, and everybody pulls for each other, and it's great. We, before practice the other day, sent a video to the softball coach, just, all the guys in it wishing the girls good luck. But, that makes it special. But, yes, graduated from here in 2009, went on to play at Gardner-Webb for 4 years, played, sparingly my sophomore year, kind of in a reserve role. And then my senior year got to start. And from there, actually got the chance to come back home, worked for Coach Liner his last year here at 96. And then Coach Doolittle came back and worked for him for 3 years and left here, went and got a chance to work for Jeff Murdoch up at Crescent for a year. Ty Sutherland was our offensive coordinator that year, a real good friend of mine, got to know him. And, that Sutherland name's synonymous with wing tee stuff. And I'm a zone guy. So he and I, we'd, go back and forth on, what's right and what's best and all that stuff. Then got the chance to work for Jeff Herron for a year. And then Coach Tone's first year at Hanna was my last year there. In the past 6 years, I've been at Emerald. I've had the opportunity to be a offensive line coach. I've coached linebackers, been a run game coordinator, been an offensive coordinator, been an assistant head coach. So it's just, next step.
Coach, you kind of hit on it earlier, but as an alum of 96, man, how special is that to be able to come back home and be the head coach now at your alma mater?
It's really special. I actually, the NS, when I was in college, I got it tattooed on my arm. So it's a real deal. This place raised me, and I'm a better man for having grown up here. It's special to me. And I take a lot of pride in being from here and what it means to be a Wildcat. And that was instilled in me at a young age. My dad went to school here. My grandma actually worked in the school here. So the Sargents are invested in 96 through and through, for sure.
We're catching you towards the end of the academic year, going into summer, which is a very pivotal time for the season. I want to know about your staff. We know a lot of moving pieces definitely this time of the year. How's that shaping up? Do you have everything in place, and how's that looking for you?
Yeah, so we actually just added our finishing touches, our last piece this week, actually. There was a lot of moving and shaking. And when I came in, I told guys who were here on staff, I'm not coming in to try to force anybody out. If you want to be a part of this, there's a spot for you. But I told them if they wanted to go, then I would be more than happy to try to help. Not that they needed my help, but, I would, reach out if I could help, whatever. Brandon Norman is coming over as our offensive coordinator. He's worked with us the past couple of years at Emerald. Really great guy, works hard, has coached just about every position on the offensive side of the ball the past 6 years over there at Emerald. Trey Childress is coming over from Greenwood High to be our defensive coordinator. He's worked in secondary over there, so kind of taking his next step. Will Crawford is coming over. He's another guy that worked with us at Emerald. He's going to be coaching our defensive line. Kind of talk about 96 being a tight-knit community, a diamond in the rough that just kind of fell in my lap. Reed Slack played here actually when I first got back home coaching. Went to grad school, has a doctorate in something that I don't understand. He's high up and all that, but when he was in grad school at Wingate, was a assistant strength coach for the Wingate football team, and had reached out to Coach Ellis, our AD here, and just wanted to get into coaching. And he has been a huge asset in the weight room, and has completely flipped how we do things in the weight room on its head. And I told him, I was like, I can run a weight room, but it's going to be from a player's perspective, things I've done in high school and college, but you understand the science of it. And that's one thing I try to do. I'm not too proud to tell you I don't have all the answers. I'm a first-year coach. I understand that. I am not too proud to tell you other people know certain things better than I do. And I think sometimes as coaches, we get caught up and we have to have all the answers. And sometimes the right answer is I don't know. And I'll go find that answer. But, been able to coach Tripp Henderson has been here. He's a lifer here at 96. He's going to be coaching our inside backers. Coach Corby Long is going to be coaching our running backs. Joseph Cheney is going to be coaching our corners. Coach Slack's going to actually be doing our strength stuff and coaching our inside receivers. And Coach Ryan Booker is going to be coaching our outside receivers. So it's a really good staff. I'm happy with the way it turned out. And it's a younger staff, energetic, which is really, really good. And the cool thing is we had, there's 5 of us on staff who have played here. So it matters, and that was one thing I really wanted to focus on.
Coach, with you being a first-year head coach, what are you guys going to run on both sides of the ball, and do you plan on calling plays for either side as well?
We'll be spread on offense, which is new here from what they've done in the past. There's 1,000 different ways to skin a cat. There's nothing wrong with with either way. That's just not who I am, to line up and get down in there and down block and all that stuff, which is weird, I know, considering I spent time at Hanna and working for Murdoch and all them. But my roots are in zone offense and running inside, outside zone. We'll still gap scheme stuff. We'll have power and counter and all that good stuff. But we're going to spread it out. We want to get out there and play in space. We're going to, screen, and we're going to throw the ball. And, I think when I first got here and, trying to talk to guys, I was like, guys, we're going to have 4 receivers on the field 95% of the time. And they just kind of looked at me. I was like, look, it's different. Everybody's got their own way of doing it, but this is how we're going to do it. Now that doesn't mean we're going to be air raid or anything like that. My bread's still buttered up front, but we're going to spread it out, and we're going to make you decide what your box looks like. We're going to give it, we're going to read your box, and what you're going to give us, we're going to take. Can't go broke taking a profit. I've already said that probably 400 times during spring ball this year. So, but defensively, we'll base out of a forefront, and we want to try to make people just drive the field. We want to limit big plays. If you can snap it 12 times and score on us, we'll tip our hat and we'll get it back on offense. Now, that's not saying we're just going to sit back and let you. We're coming after you. But main focus is to limit big plays and stop the run.
Coaching's a very tight-knit community, and from professional down to high school, I mean, it's really close. You mentioned some great high school coaches that you've been able to, work with, play for. But who are some coaches, whether it's high school, college level, or the professional level, who you kind of model your style after, or who've been influential in your career?
Yeah, I'm probably one of the few people who have had the opportunity to play for a guy in high school, play for a guy in college, and then work for the guy. Coach Doolittle he's had such a huge impact on not just football, but my life. And I wouldn't be the man I am today without his influence on my life. And that goes beyond football, but, a lot of football stuff I've taken from him. And, like I said, I got the opportunity to play for him in high school. When I was coming through, you started playing JV in 7th grade. So from 7th grade through 10th grade, and then he recruited me to Gardner-Webb, was my offensive line coach my freshman year. And when I came back, I actually had thought about, GAing and trying to get into the college ranks. And then he got the job here, and I said, that's good. My guy's back. So, but he's had a huge influence on me. Coach Liner, obviously, and spending 6 years with Coach DeBose, that's shaped me a lot as well. As far as who I played for in college, one of the smartest guys I've ever been around. He was only with us for a year at Gardner-Webb. Was Dwayne Ledford. He's actually, I think he's a run game coordinator now for the Ravens. He just offensive line wise, he was brilliant. And, it's just you can coach things at a different level in college, obviously, than you can in high school. And some of the things he taught me was just like, that makes so much sense. I never really thought about it that way. But, those guys, I tried to take a lot from everybody I worked for. And, talking about Coach Doolittle earlier, it was huge for me working for him. And he's, I don't know if you guys know him, but he has a reputation as a hard-nosed guy, and he 100% fits the bill. That's who he is. But going from working for him and growing up around him, and then going and working for a guy like Jeff Murdoch, like Coach Murdoch, great guy, does it completely different than Coach Doolittle, and that was good for me to see, seeing how different people do it different ways. But, I think I have really been blessed. I really have. And one of the things I've always tried to do when I take a job is make sure it's somebody I can learn from, and, I've been able to do that. And, I'm a 96 guy, and, spending the last 6 years at Emerald with Coach DeBose, who at his roots is an Abbeville guy, so there was always a little bit of back and forth there, but he's a defensive guy. And so just listening and trying to hear what he would say about defensive stuff, and, me being an offensive guy at heart, It's been good. It really has been good. And again, just try to take a little something from everybody.
Coach, we'd love to shine a light on some of our great players across the state here on Moving the Chains. Who are some guys that you guys have coming back that we should be on the lookout for next Friday night for next season on Friday nights for 96?
Yeah, it's really been great to get back and learn these kids because I've actually coached against them the past couple of years because 96 and Emerald have been on the schedule. But Key Wardlaw, returning defensive end, has a chance to have a really big year. He has bought into what we're doing in the weight room. His body is changing. Big, strong kid. He's got a chance to have a really big year. At quarterback, Mason, not Mason. That's going to be the next one I talk about. Jacob Evans. Jacob Evans at quarterback. He's picked up the offense really well, and he can spin it now. Plays baseball. I think he's starting third baseman for the baseball team. So he's got an arm. He can spin it. And then Mason Ellis, playing a little inside backer, a little B back for us. I say B back, H back for us. He's doing some good stuff on both sides of the ball. And then there's been some guys that have come out this year that haven't played in the past that have really, really just surprised some folks that were even here before. A kid that's had a great spring so far is Blaine Dotson. Didn't even play last year. And, he's come out. He's caught a couple touchdowns for us this spring so far. And, it's just that's the difference in scheme and fit and stuff. A kid that, in certain offenses would have been, a tackle or a big guard. But for us, he's a long, tall kid who can run a little bit. So we're going to split him out there and put him in the slot, and he's a mismatch. He's had a great spring. So it's really been good,
Coach, you were hired in January. How important was it to you, to kind of get on campus? You're already familiar with the program and kind of, establish your culture there. And with it also being a realignment year, did you have any input on the schedule?
So the schedule was actually made before I got here. But to going back to your original question about getting on campus, it was huge. There were things, obviously anybody coming in is going to make changes. Everybody's got their own way of doing things, but I have a certain belief about the way things are done in the weight room and just the intensity of things. One thing, I've told these kids is I don't need you for 8 hours. I don't need you here all day. We're going to get here and we're going to bust it. And we're going, you're going to give me everything you got for however long I need it. And if you do that, I don't need you here all time, So there's been some changes as far as just instituting culture, biggest thing. And, our team motto this year is raise the standard. And, we want to raise the standard of what it means to be a 96 football player. And, that's not talking about last year or what's been done in the past. That's talking about the standard I had in my head when I was 5 years old, standing in the stands, watching these guys play. I can remember going home from games and, playing ball in the front yard with my dad. And I wasn't pretending to be the Dallas Cowboys. I was pretending to be the guys I saw on Friday night out here. We're dropping names to them of 96 royalty. Now, y'all might not know them, but, Ronald Williams, who left here and went to Clemson and was ACC Freshman of the Year, and guys like Corey Carter, who was up for Mr. Football and played in the Shrine Bowl, and guys like Mario Williams, who was a state championship quarterback here and went and is actually in the Hall of Fame at Gardner-Webb, and guys like Stan Doolittle, who set all sorts of records here, throwing the ball around. So, setting the standard or raising the standard doesn't mean, hey, let's get better than I was yesterday. No, let's get better here than it's ever been. That's the goal. So that's a lofty goal. I understand that, but it's what goals should be. If goals were easy, they're not goals.
Well, Coach, with you being new head man, just getting here, what were you, hoping to learn, and what have you learned about your group here in spring practice?
The biggest thing about this group, and I've told the coaches who have come over and joined me, I have not asked them to do anything that they haven't done. Everything I've asked, they've done. Has it been perfect? No, absolutely not. But everything I've asked them to do, they have tried their darndest to get done. And that's the one thing I continue to tell them is like, look, I'm not asking you to be perfect, but I'm asking you to give me perfect effort at what I'm trying to ask you to do. And if they'll do that, we'll get better every day. And that's one thing we have done. There have been things, and I've tried to, at the end of practice every day, make note like, hey, look, these are things we got better at today. We're putting in a new scheme on offense and defense. So it's bumpy right now. It is what it is. But when you can sit them down and tell them, hey, look, this is something we did better today than we did the last time we were out here. Measurable goals that they see, and they're like, oh, okay, like, yeah, it is working. And, that goes back to the weight room. Like I've only been in the building since March or the end of March, and, maxes have gone up, speeds have gone down, it's times have gone down, not speed, I should say, but, things have gotten better. And when you can show a kid, hey, look, you're getting better at this because of what you're doing, the buy-in is easy to get at that point.
Coach, again, we're catching you towards the end of the academic year, so going into summer, that's a big time for 7-on-7s. Are you a fan of that stuff, especially with the new offense that you're planning to implement? And you work with Coach Tone, who is a huge advocate for getting 11-on-11 here in South Carolina. Are you going to be doing any of that as well?
So we will be 7-on-7. We're not going to do 11-on-11 this year. It's not – I love it now. I ain't going to lie to you. I love it. But with so much new, we gotta learn ourselves first, and we're still learning schemes, and a lot of those teams that do the 11-on-11 stuff, they're kind of set in their ways, and they know who they are, they know what they're doing, and I think we need to clean ourselves up first. 7-on-7 is going to be something. Transitioning from more of a wing-based offense to now what we're doing in the spread is going to be different. The amount of 7-on-7s that we do. But our plan, the month of June, we're going 7-on-7 at least once a week. And the beauty of it is, coming from where I'm from, I've spent the last 6 years at Emerald. It's 8 miles down the road. So I know they do 7-on-7 every week. So that was an easy – in fact, before I was out of the building at Emerald, I'd already talked to Coach DeBose and said, hey, go ahead and pencil us in. Like, we'll be here. That's an easy trip. We're up there. I know it's run right. I know the kids are disciplined. I know those kids. I know those people. I trust them. So, we'll go up there and, we'll go over to Greenwood for the big FCA 7-on-7 that they do. And but once that calendar turns to July, we're not going anywhere. And I've told our guys that, like, look, June's the time to go compete 7-on-7. We hit July, it's all about the Wildcats. And we're going to practice with each other. We're going to get, that week one's in sight at that point. And it's time to start polishing and getting our ducks in a row and not worry about 7-on-7, So we'll start really focusing on us at that point.
The Wildcat program is one that, has a lot of pride and tradition. I think they've got 5 state titles there, Coach. But they've had a couple rough seasons by their standards lately. When you came in, were there a couple things you're like, I've got to change this, this, and this? Or what was a big emphasis that you had when you took the job to really get those guys back on the right track? So
the first thing that I really wanted to focus on, anywhere I've been that's been successful, the weight room's good. It's the lifeblood of any football program. And I believe that, if you do things right in the weight room, then everything else becomes a lot easier. So the intensity at which we work in the weight room was the number one focus. Because at that point when I came in, we weren't playing football. And now I'm lucky enough here, we have a football class, but second semester with us being a small school, you have so many kids playing soccer or running track or playing baseball. And I told him, I said, if I don't see you at spring practice, that's a good thing, because that means you're still in the playoffs. Now we have them all out there now, but it's the weight room was the number one thing. And, getting in there and setting the standard of, hey, this is how we do it. There is no dodging reps. There is nothing, none of that. I'm one that I like to be in there. I like to be, I move out of the way. I'm spotting this set. We're a tight knit group. We have a facility that's big enough for us, but it's a little bit of a tighter confines there. And first thing I did when I got in there is I went in there and went over to the thermostat and turned it up as high as I could. When I was coming through, there was a little metal building that we lifted in around the track here, and there was no air, there was no heat. So when it was hot, it was an oven, and then when it was cold, it was a freezer, and just was what it was. So that's been the biggest thing. Everything that we do, whether it's stretch, whether it's lift, whatever it is, I want it to be intense, and just the speed at which we do things is the biggest change. The speed at which we do it, the intent to be locked in on everything. We don't do any. One thing that I've tried to get them to understand is we don't do anything just because. Nothing's just flying by the seat of our pants. When I went through the interview process, I presented the panel with a calendar that didn't just say, workout 1, workout 2, workout 3. No, you had what we were working out, the exercises, the percentages, the sets, the reps, all that stuff lined out. And, the weight rooms, like I said, it's the lifeblood of the football program. So if you get things right in there, everything else kind of falls into place.
Coach, when you keep talking about 96, you refer to it as home. I mean, there's like you mentioned previously, got the tattoo. You talked about your familiar ties to the program. You talked about how you've just established roots, even in that community as well. And community is something that's very, very important when program building. How have they embraced and supported you and your coaches and your family as you've come back home, to start this next chapter in that Wildcat program?
Yeah, it's been awesome. The support. My mom, she works, she's a kindergarten assistant here and has been doing it for 30 years. My aunt retired from working here. She was a teacher. My cousin was actually the middle school principal at one time, or assistant principal. She now works in District 50. My grandma worked in the high school for a time. My dad was on the school board for a time. 96 runs through our family, and even when I worked at Emerald, and I loved it there. This isn't a shot by any stretch of imagination, but even when I worked there, my kid went to 96. That's just what Sargents do. That's who we are. And so the community's been awesome. Guys that I've had guys that I played with that have come up and like, hey man, I'm so glad you're back. What can we do? We're doing business sponsors for the quarters. One thing we did at Emerald that I'm bringing down here, and trying to sell sponsors for the quarters, and that was so easy, and people want to be involved here. People want to be a part of it, and it's awesome, I'd be lying if I said that. It's a really cool thing for me here at our athletic facility over here where the old high school was, where I actually went to school. We have 2 gyms, and one of them, there's a big Wildcat mural painted on the wall. And, my dad was the announcer here for 15 some odd years. And when he passed, he's painted in the mural. So it's a super cool thing when I walk into work every day, it's I know, or, sometimes I'll come in and be like, oh, we got this and this and this. And then I just look over there and it's like, I know, I need to shut up. All right, let's go to work. So it's just so cool, man. It really is. And God has blessed me, and it's so awesome. It really is.
Founders Federal Credit Union means banking made for you. The on the go, the pick up and go, and the I want to go. Because at Founders, we give you the financial tools that make every dollar work for you. For the little things to the big things. For your future and your peace of mind. We'll always stay grounded in our roots, but reaching beyond what you'd expect is where we'll always go. Find out what our members already know and enjoy a new way to bank. Relax. You're with Founders.
Couple easier ones for you, Coach. Let you go today. Maybe in your office for a home game, maybe on the bus to an away game. What's on your pregame playlist as you get ready to take the field on Fridays?
So that is this is going to shake you up. All right. I am an eclectic guy when it comes to music. I'm not one that needs to, headbang rock music or listen to the newest rap song. Before a game, I genuinely want to listen to stuff that's just going easy listening and go. Big Dixie Chicks guy.
Okay. Okay.
That's a first. That's the first one off here.
Yeah, and this one might shake you even more, but Queen. Yeah, Freddie Mercury. I'm a big Freddie Mercury fan, Bohemian Rhapsody, my all-time favorite song. I'll listen to that, and Wayne's World. I'm right there in the car with them. So those are my two. I don't know.
I love that. That's good. Coach, the softball question of all softball questions coming at you. NTC is huge on food. We're big foodies here. So if you've watched any of our interviews, any short, any reel, it's going to be food centered probably just as much as football. You're from 96. You're back home. You didn't stray far away. So you have to give us some restaurant recommendations if we come down there on a Friday night. Where should we go and have a bite to eat before we catch the Wildcats at the field?
All right. So I got two for you. Fins and Feathers here in town. It's a relatively new restaurant, but it is so good. Fried fish, fried chicken. Now, I don't know if y'all are these guys, but I love chicken gizzards.
Yeah, there we go.
They have the best chicken gizzards I've ever put in my mouth. And I'm going to throw another plug here. I know y'all, I've seen y'all do the hot dog review thing, okay? 96 Tire and Oil here in town. You can go, you can get new tires, you can get your brakes changed, you can get your oil changed, and you can get the best hot dog you've ever put in your mouth. They sell it out of the store there, and now it's different. It's different. All right, I don't know what they do with the chili and all. I don't understand it, but it's a 96 staple.
I love that. Well, Coach, I know, it's still kind of early in the prep for the season, but what are some goals you guys have set for 2026?
So I've talked to our guys about, we're going to set goals as far as, obviously the easy answer would be win every one of them, right? But, I'm a big North Carolina fan. I was born and raised a North Carolina fan, and it's hard to do right now with all that's going on up there. But, listening to Belichick, I was listening to something he said the other day, and he said, you don't reach the mountaintop in 15 minutes. You can't fall in love with the mountaintop. You got to fall in love with the process. And that's been our thing. Like, don't worry about, like, there's nothing we open up at Mid-Carolina. There's nothing we can do today that's going to make us win that game. But what we can do is get better today. And that's been the number one goal, is find something every day and get better at it. Whatever it is, I don't need my offensive lineman to work on throwing a football. It doesn't apply to you. So don't work on it, work on that zone step, work on, pass protection, whatever it is, but get better at something every day. And that applies to our coaches as well. Like, there's stuff that, the first day of spring ball, I'm sitting here, making sure I got all my ducks in a row, all that. Well, we're going into day 7 today. Day 6 was a lot easier to get ready for spring ball than day 1 was, because I understand what, this, where everything is, what needs to be out there, what doesn't, how to get to it, which key goes in what door. I'm still figuring that out a little bit. So just every day find something and get better at that.
Coach, and usually that's the last one that we ask, but I do want to ask you this one. I know it's always you said the process and it's really one game at a time type deal, but have you allowed yourself to think any about what it's going to be like walking out of the locker room for that first home game against Landrum there? I mean, That's going to be special for you, you would think. I mean, like
Yeah.
you said with the interview, this is home for you.
It's funny you said that. I just got cold chills. So there's it is going to be special. Like I told y'all earlier, and I actually sat in with the radio crew one of the softball games here. I told them, I said, when I played here, I told y'all my dad was the announcer, and we had this little thing. We would always do the whole Sammy Sosa, that whole thing. And when I'd run down the hill, we do the rock and the hill here and all that. And when I'd run down the hill, we just make eye contact and I'd point at him. And I told them, I said, the points just got to be a little further north now because he's gone on. But, I don't know. I don't know what it's going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. I know there's probably going to be a point in time when those guys run down the hill where I'm going to have to walk to the far end of the sideline for a second. But I absolutely cannot wait.
Well, Coach, we're super excited for you, man. This has been great. I want everyone to go check out Coach Sargent and the Wildcats program on Twitter and Facebook. They do a great job posting updates on their kids and their program. So certainly follow them on there. Like I mentioned, follow us on all social media. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Jerel, anything else for Coach? Let him go today.
Well, Coach, first of all, thank you so much for your time and joining us on the program today. Just want to say congratulations to you. Congratulations to your family. This is a big deal. I mentioned how special this is of an opportunity to lead your alma mater. So just really great to see what you're going to be able to do in the future, how you're going to be able to get these guys, back on top. And I don't see a situation where you're not going to be successful. So continued success, and you guys stay healthy this offseason and get after them in the fall.
Absolutely. Thank y'all so much.
Yes, sir, Coach. Look forward to getting down to a practice or game, getting to meet you in person, and best of luck, all right?
All right. Thank y'all.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Movin The Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.